Dear parents and grandparents, I'm the author and illustrator of this book. For you, what is the most precious gift in the world? When you and your children read this story, you will find out. There's nothing sweeter than family love. That's the moral of the story. Reading is a good way to cultivate your children's better angels. In this story, they will learn about the brave spirit of Vegas and his love of his family, and Susan's kindness. I hope you and your children enjoy this book very much. Sincerely yours, Phoenix. The Lost Sea Cat, written and illustrated by Phoenix Chu. There was a little girl named Susan who lived on a farm in Hawaii in the United States. This farm was on a hill close to the beach. From the farm, she could see the deep blue Pacific Ocean and an old lighthouse on the beach. One evening, Susan was watching the goats eat grass on the farm. At that time, the sunshine was very tender. It sprayed gently on the old lighthouse, the coconut tree, and the beach. The ocean seemed to have a magic power that reached to the center of her heart and made her feel better about her life. She could not help but be attracted to the beautiful sunset, and she started to think long and hard about the mystery of her birth. Susan was given her name by the farmer Mr. Anderson, who found her on the beach about 1 year ago. When he found her passed out on the beach, he thought that there was a sapphire necklace in her hands. He thought it was a magic treasure that would bring a high price in the market, so he gave it to his wife, Mrs. Anderson, who loved jewels. The farmer and his wife kept the necklace as a secret. They never said a word to Susan. In the village where they lived, no one knew where Susan was from, nor her real age. Susan could not remember anything about her past at all either. She looked like she was about 12 years old, with bright, big blue eyes and a smile like sweet flowers. Mrs. Anderson thought that Susan could be a cheaper labor, so Mrs. Anderson decided to let her stay and work on the farm. Susan did not like people to think about her as an orphan. She believed that she really had a family and she could find it someday. But she just did not know how she was going to do it. Her brain was as empty as a piece of blank paper. Gradually, everything turned dark and silent in the moonlight. Mrs. Anderson called Susan to let the goats into the barn, but Susan was too deep in thought to hear the call. After calling many times, Mrs. Anderson lost her patience and flew into a furious rage. Susan quickly apologized to Mrs. Anderson and got to her chores. When she finished with the goats, she turned to the ocean and suddenly saw a light shimmering on the surface. Susan was curious about the lights, but Mrs. Anderson called her again to wash the dinner dishes. In order to avoid a scolding, she rushed into the house. That night, Susan felt very tired from working on the farm all day, but she could not control herself. When she saw the lights getting closer and closer to the beach, as she watched from her window, she felt that something important was happening, and she had to go to the beach right away. Susan's feeling was right. When she arrived at the beach, she saw a sea cat lying on the sand. The cat's color shone brightly in the moonlight. This cat was almost entirely black except for the white fur on its chest and feet. The cat looked like a gentleman dressed in tuxedo, but when Susan got closer, she was surprised to find that the cat's big back feet were webbed like dog's feet. and its long flat tail looked like it was taken from a beaver. Susan thought that the strange and mysterious cat had come from far away, because it looked very tired, and all of its fur was wet with the smell of the ocean. "Help me, please," the cat said to Susan weakly. Then, without waiting for an answer, the cat fainted. How can a cat talk? Susan thought. She was too shocked to speak any words to this strange creature. At that moment, the shining collar became loose and drifted into the webs. Susan wanted to catch the collar, but light gradually faded and disappeared into the ocean. At last she gave up looking for the collar. Susan was a kind girl. She did not dislike this cat because of its strange looks. She looked around the beach and worried that this sick cat could catch cold or be eaten by animals if it stayed here overnight. Therefore, she decided to bring it back to the farm as soon as possible. After she brought the cat home, she dried its body with a clean towel so it would not catch a cold. She then found a soft cushion that made a perfect bed for a cat. The cat woke up the next morning. Susan thought it looked much better and went to find some food for the cat in the kitchen. When Susan brought the food back her bedroom, she found that, unfortunately, Mrs. Anderson had opened the door and seen the strange cat in Susan's bedroom. "Where did you get this strange and dirty cat? Without my permission, you cannot adopt any pets, do you know? Now, chase the cat off the farm," Mrs. Anderson said angrily. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Anderson. Please let it stay. It can catch mice for us." Susan cried and begged with Mrs. Anderson. She really liked this cat so much. "Okay, if this cat can work for us, I can let it stay. You have to watch him all the time. Do not let it into my bedroom, understand?" said Mrs. Anderson. For Mrs. Anderson, anything could stay as long as it was useful, so she did not reject Susan's idea. The cat was so grateful to Susan for saving its life that it not only caught mice but fish as well. The Andersons were quite happy with this smart cat. For them, there was nothing better than making money. They wanted Susan to sell the fish in the market after she finished the job on the farm. The news of the special cat spread quickly throughout the village. Many people were curious about its strange appearance, because the cat swam and dove very well. Everyone in the village thought it could be some kind of marine animal, so they called it a sea cat. Now you know who was Sea Cat. Are you curious what happened between it and Susan? Why did it come here? What was the secret of Susan's necklace? If Susan find her necklace, what would happen? To find the result, please buy this chosen book at www.thelostseacat.com. Thanks for watching. See you at www.thelostseacat.com.